you think they won't remember. Science says you're wrong. Not as a memory, as a feeling they carry forever. Here is the thing that most parents never find out. There are two completely different kinds of memory in the human brain. The one everyone knows about, the kind that lets you recall a birthday, a holiday, a specific moment, is called explicit memory. It requires a fully developed hippocampus. Babies don't have that yet, and this is why the myth exists. Why people say, don't worry about it, they won't remember any of this. But the other kind of memory, the one that is operational from birth, possibly from before birth, is called implicit memory. And it is encoded not in the hippocampus, but in the stress system, the emotional system, the body itself. This is the memory that tells you to feel calm in certain spaces without knowing why. The memory behind why certain smells make you feel safe. The memory that decides, before any conscious thought arrives, whether the world feels like a place where you belong. Psychology Today published a piece summarizing decades of infant brain research this clearly. While babies may not remember discrete events from their infancy, their stress systems and emotional systems will remember how the people they love made them feel. Babies do not forget how they were nurtured. That is not a metaphor. It is neuroscience, which means 10 things you do every single ordinary day are being written right now into the deepest architecture of your baby's brain, not as stories they'll tell, as feelings they'll carry, as the baseline sense of self and world that will shape every relationship, every challenge, every moment of joy or fear they encounter for the rest of their life. Here are the 10, and number 6 is the one that genuinely surprises parents, because it's something you do without thinking, something that seems too small to matter, and something that research shows has one of the most lasting neurological footprints of anything on this list. Let's begin. 1. The way you respond when they cry. This one goes first because it is the most fundamental, and because the myth around it, that responding to every cry will spoil your baby, has caused more unnecessary suffering in more families than almost anything else I can name. Here is what is actually happening neurologically when a baby cries and a caregiver responds. The stress hormone cortisol spikes when the baby cries. When you come, when you hold, when you speak, when you are present, the cortisol drops. The nervous system learns, through this repeated sequence, something that will take years to fully understand intellectually, but is being installed at a body level right now. Distress is temporary. Help comes. I am not alone in what I feel. Dr. Alan Shore at UCLA, one of the world's leading researchers in early brain development, has spent decades documenting this. He describes the caregiver's responsive presence as building what he calls the right brain's implicit self, the unconscious architecture of how a person relates to stress, to others, and to their own emotional experience. That architecture, he argues, is being built through every response you give to every cry. Not the dramatic ones, all of them. Securely attached babies, babies whose cries are consistently responded to, encode a positive implicit model. Caregivers are safe, nurturing, and dependable. Babies with inconsistent responses encode a different model. And that model, research shows, travels with them into adulthood. You are not spoiling your baby when you come. You are writing the most important sentence in the story their nervous system is telling about the world. 2. The sound of your voice during ordinary moments. Not what you say. The sound. The warmth, the rhythm, the prosody, the musical quality of language before language has meaning. This is something your baby has been learning since the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, when their auditory system became functional and they began hearing you through the fluid and tissue of the womb. Brigham Young University researchers, led by psychologist Ross Flom, found something remarkable about how infant memory and emotion interact. Babies as young as 5 months old were significantly more likely to remember objects and shapes when they were paired with a happy, warm vocal tone. Not just in the moment, the next day. The emotional quality of the voice was literally enhancing memory encoding. What this means is startling in its implications. The ordinary voice you use during a feed, during a diaper change, while you're doing things around the house and narrating to your baby, that voice is not just comfort, it is a memory amplifier. A warm, engaged tone boosts the neural encoding of everything happening in that moment. Conversely, a flat, distracted, or tense vocal tone suppresses memory encoding and activates the stress response. Your baby is not just listening for words. They are reading your voice as a constant indicator of whether the world right now is safe and warm or uncertain and tense. And that reading is being filed away, not as a thought, as a feeling. Talk to your baby. Sing, narrate, tell them what you're doing and seeing and thinking. Not for education, for the warmth in your voice. That warmth is leaving a neurological trace every single time. 3. Whether you make eye contact during feeding. Feeding time, whether breastfeeding or bottle feeding, is one of the most neurologically rich windows of the entire day, and most parents spend a significant portion of it looking at their phones. Here is what your baby is doing during a feed. They are not just eating, they are making eye contact, studying your face, processing your emotional expressions, and using this close, contained, physically secure moment to run what researchers call social referencing, reading your face to understand the world. The face becomes the curriculum. Dr. Daniel Stern, whose research on infant caregiver interaction fundamentally shaped the field, identified feeding as one of the primary contexts in which what he called affect attunement occurs, the moment-by-moment emotional synchrony between parent and baby. When you are present during a feed, when you make eye contact, when your face responds to theirs, the baby is receiving simultaneously nutrition and emotional co-regulation. 2 forms of nourishment. 1 moment. Research published in journals of developmental neuroscience confirms that eye contact during feeding activates the same neural pathways as physical touch, the social bonding circuitry, the oxytocin system, the early formation of what will become the capacity for intimate connection in adult relationships. Your baby is learning, through this daily repeated experience, what it feels like to be fully seen by someone who loves them while their most basic physical need is being met. That felt experience, need, and love arriving together is a foundational emotional memory. Put the phone down during feeding. Not because you're doing something wrong, because what's happening in front of you is one of the most neurologically significant moments of your baby's day. 4. Your emotional state when you are near them. This is a hard one, and I want to hold it carefully, because I am not here to add to the enormous weight that parents already carry, but I would be doing you a disservice if I left it out. Babies are what researchers call biological sensors of their caregiver's emotional state. From the very first weeks of life, their autonomic nervous system is co-regulating with yours. Not just when you're holding them or talking to them, when you're near them. Research published in developmental neuroscience journals has shown that maternal anxiety measurably affects infant brain connectivity, specifically in the regions governing socio-emotional development. Dr. Shore's work explains the mechanism. The right hemisphere of your baby's brain, the hemisphere dominant for emotional processing, is in constant communication with the right hemisphere of your brain through face, voice, and proximity. What this means practically is that your unspoken emotional state is not hidden from your baby. They are reading your nervous system directly, in real time. When you are chronically stressed, anxious, or emotionally shut down, your baby's nervous system registers that environment and begins to adapt to it, not because you're a bad parent, because they are an extraordinarily sensitive instrument, and you are the most important signal in their world. The research also shows, and this part matters enormously, that the repair matters as much as the rupture. You do not need to be calm all the time. You need to come back to regulation, to reconnection, consistently. A parent who gets overwhelmed and then returns, who ruptures and repairs, is teaching their baby something just as important as the rupture, that emotional storms pass, and that love is still there on the other side. Get the support you need, not for your baby, for yourself, and then for your baby. 5. The bedtime routine, or the lack of one. This one is so ordinary that most parents would never think of it in terms of memory or lasting neurological impact, but the research is remarkably consistent and worth understanding. A study from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign followed 468 families from the time their babies were 3 months old. What they found was clear. Babies who had consistent bedtime routines, even simple ones, even just a bath and a song, slept longer, woke less, and showed significantly better emotional regulation as they grew. Not just at 1 year, at 18 months and 2 years as well. The routine that started at 3 months was still affecting behavior 2 years later. Research published in the Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism describes precisely what a bedtime routine does neurologically. It provides what researchers call predictability cues, external signals that tell the brain what is coming. And for a baby's developing brain, predictability is not just comfort. It is the mechanism through which the brain learns to self-regulate. The same sequence of events, in the same order, at the same time, every night, teaches the nervous system, I know what comes next. I am safe. I can let go. The University of Georgia Extension Program put it this way: doing things in predictable ways builds a baby's trust of adults. When caregivers respond consistently within a familiar structure, infants develop emotional security and trust that their needs will be met. The specific routine matters less than the consistency. Bath, song, feed, dim lights, story, rocking, gentle voice. Whatever works for your family. The point is the sequence, the repetition. The nightly message to your baby's nervous system, this is how this goes. You are safe. Sleep is coming. I am here. 6. The moments you laugh together. This is the one I mentioned in the opening, the one that surprises parents. Because laughter seems too light, too ordinary, too much like just having fun to be described in terms of lasting neurological impact. But the research on infant laughter and shared joy is extraordinary. Research published in the journal Infant and Child Development found something specific and remarkable about how infant laughter works. Babies as young as 5 months smiled and laughed significantly more, and the laughter lasted longer, when parents cued them by laughing first. By 7 months, the baby's laughter was almost entirely contingent on the parent's emotional engagement with the moment. The parent's joy was quite literally teaching the baby to find the world joyful. This is not just about mood. This is about implicit memory formation. Neuroscience research shows that the amygdala and hippocampus, the brain structures involved in emotional memory, interact most powerfully during emotionally charged moments. Joy is an emotionally charged moment. The laughter you share with your baby during peekaboo, during a silly face, during a moment of pure delight. That is not just play. It is one of the highest encoding memory events of the day. And here is the finding that I find most moving. The Baby Sparks Memory Research Team summarized it this way: if you consistently expose your baby to happy, loving moments, they will form implicit memories connecting those experiences with feelings of happiness and belonging. They won't remember the specific moments. But the emotional blueprint, the sense that the world contains joy, that being with people feels good, that laughter is something that happens between two people who love each other, that blueprint is being written right now. Be silly with your baby. Laugh with them. The neurological trace of your shared joy is one of the most lasting gifts you will ever give them. 7. How you handle it when they get hurt. Every baby falls. Every baby bumps their head, scrapes their knee, reaches for something hot. These moments are inevitable, and they are also, without most parents realizing it, among the most neurologically significant teaching moments of early childhood. Here is what your baby is learning in the moment after they get hurt. Not from the pain itself, from you. from how you respond to the pain. They are watching your face to understand. How bad was that? Is this a crisis? Am I okay? The moment of injury is often frightening. The moment of your response is what gets encoded. Research on social referencing, the process by which babies use their caregiver's emotional response to interpret ambiguous situations, shows that babies as young as 8 months will look to their caregiver's face to determine how to respond to a fall or bump. If the parent looks frightened, the baby escalates. If the parent looks calm and warm and present, the baby regulates far more quickly. The parent's face is the instruction manual for the nervous system. Over thousands of these moments, the small falls, the small hurts, the small frights, your baby is building what researchers call a pain narrative, an implicit understanding of what pain means and what follows it. When your consistent response is warm, calm presence, when you come, acknowledge it, stay, your baby learns that hurt is survivable, that they will not be alone in it, that it ends. That is one of the most critical emotional competencies a human being can have, and it is learned here, in these tiny ordinary moments of early childhood. 8. The physical contact during daily care. Diaper changes, baths, getting dressed, being carried. These moments are so routine, so functional, so often done on autopilot while thinking about something else, that most parents would never identify them as neurologically significant. They are. Research from the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami and a comprehensive systematic review of skin-to-skin contact studies published in peer-reviewed journals including PMC shows that consistent, gentle physical contact from a primary caregiver reduces cortisol, increases oxytocin, improves sleep quality, and accelerates neurological maturation. Regular and repeated episodes of warm physical contact produce what one research team called a continuous stress buffering effect, a baseline reduction in the baby's physiological stress response that persists beyond the moment of contact. But here is the piece that speaks most to lasting memory. The implicit memory formed through thousands of daily touch experiences creates what Dr. Shore calls a felt sense of physical safety, a body-level knowledge that the world is a place where you are handled with care, where contact is warm and gentle, where your body is known and tended. This felt sense, encoded through the mundane touch of daily caregiving, becomes the baseline through which a person experiences physical closeness for the rest of their life. Be present in the bath. Make the diaper change a moment of connection. Let the daily handling of your baby's body be gentle and warm and unhurried when you can. Not because any one diaper change matters enormously, because the pattern of 10,000 diaper changes creates something that does. 9. Whether you follow their gaze. This one is subtle, and it is one of the most underappreciated interactions in all of early childhood research. Many times a day, your baby looks at something, a light, a shadow, your face, their own hand, a toy across the room. And in that moment, something is available to them that they cannot create alone. They cannot fully process what they're seeing, cannot categorize it, cannot connect it to language or meaning. They need you for that, not to teach them, to follow them. When you follow your baby's gaze, when you look at what they're looking at and then look back at them and name it, respond to it, share in it, you are doing something that Harvard's Center on the Developing Child identifies as one of the primary drivers of brain development: serve and return. Interaction. The baby serves by looking. You return by responding to what they looked at. 1 million of these exchanges across the first year of life build the neural infrastructure for language, for curiosity, for the capacity to share experience with another person. But beyond the neuroscience of development, there is something being written into implicit memory with every one of these moments. The baby who finds their gaze consistently followed, whose attention is consistently received and responded to, learns something at a body level that cannot be taught any other way. What I notice matters. What I'm curious about is worth following. I am someone whose inner life is worth responding to. That belief, I am someone whose inner world matters, is perhaps the single most important foundation of mental health, and it is built, gaze exchange by gaze exchange, in the first year of life. 10. The feeling in the room when you are near them. We have arrived at the last one, and it is perhaps the most humbling, because it is something you cannot control directly. You can only build toward it. You can only tend it. And you can only trust that the accumulation of everything else on this list is building it, quietly, every day. Researchers in infant development call it felt safety. It is not a thing you do. It is the atmosphere you create through everything you do. It is what a baby's nervous system is constantly measuring, not with thought, not with language, but with every sense available to them. Am I safe here? Is this person predictable? Does calm come when I need it? Is this a world I can trust? Dr. Shore describes it as the right brain's unconscious assessment of the relational environment. The baby's developing brain is continuously scanning the caregiver and the surrounding emotional field, not for danger specifically, for the quality of the field itself. Warm or cold, predictable or chaotic, responsive or absent, and the read it gets, repeated thousands of times, becomes the baseline expectation the baby carries forward into every new relationship, every new environment, every new challenge for the rest of their life. This is what implicit memory actually means when it applies to early childhood. It is not the specific memory of a specific moment. It is the accumulated emotional residue of thousands of ordinary moments. The warmth, the responsiveness, the predictability, the laughter, the touch, the gaze, the voice, all of it flowing together into something the baby will never remember and never be able to describe, but will carry in their body, in their nervous system, in the deepest strata of who they are, for the rest of their life. You are building that field right now. In every ordinary day, in every moment that seems too small to count, you are building it. 10 things. The response to the cry, the warmth in your voice, the eye contact during feeding, your own emotional state, the bedtime routine, the laughter you share, how you handle their small hurts, the touch during daily care, whether you follow their gaze, and the feeling in the room when you are near them. None of these require perfection. The science is clear and generous on this point. What matters is not any single moment but the pattern across thousands of moments. The consistent thread of warmth and responsiveness and presence that, taken together, creates the implicit memory your baby will carry. And the research gives us one more thing that I want you to hold. Babies with secure attachments form implicit positive models of their caregivers. Parents are safe, nurturing, and dependable. That model, built through everything on this list, becomes the template for how your child will relate to the world, to other people, to themselves. You will not remember most of the moments you are building it in, neither will they. But it will be there. In the way they reach for comfort when they're hurt, in the way they laugh freely, in the way they trust, in the way they feel, somewhere below thought and before memory, that the world is a place that has held them, that they have been loved. That feeling is what you are giving them. Every ordinary day, without even knowing it. If this video changed the way you see your ordinary moments, if it gave you something you will carry into tomorrow's morning with your baby, share it with a parent who needs to hear it, because this is the kind of knowledge that changes everything. Not dramatically, quietly, the way the most important things always do. I'll see you in the next one.